Blessings, namaste, and love, everyone. I'm spiritualist, psychic, astrologer, and medium Sette. Once again, I thank you for offering me this opportunity to share with you my astrological as well as spiritual insights. And in this segment, we are looking towards the month of August 2022. Certainly, we are advancing very, very quickly through yet another unprecedented year, and I offer you these few and brief words of inspiration so that you might recognize some of the greatest potential that already exists within your being. And one of the things that I always like to touch upon in the August video, those of you who have observed my videos over the many years, in the August time frame, we have the opportunity of what's referred to as the Lion's Gate portal, rather the opening of the Lion's Gate portal. The specific dates for that experience are July 27th through August 13th, and the experience culminates on August 8th, specifically August 7th, 8th, and 9th, at the moment of sunrise locally. And what occurs during this experience is that our sun is transiting the sign of Leo, and at sunrise on those mornings, our sun coincides at sunrise with the rising of the star Sirius, which is in the dog star constellation. And what is auspicious about these alignments is that they occur in the tropical zodiac sign of Leo. Leo, among many things, represents creativity. And I'm always inspiring every one of us to recognize that creativity is not specific to art and music. Creativity is multifaceted, and every one of us has the potential of demonstrating creative possibilities which are very specific and unique to our own individual being. During this time, I inspire everyone to recognize your own creative potential in whatever form that may be demonstrated. There is no wrong or right where this is applied. On those moments, the Lion's Gate portal also is connected to the flooding of the Nile in Egypt. And when we refer to flooding, it doesn't mean to damage or destroy, but to fortify the land. During this time each year, our creative being, our creative essence is fortified. Leo represents, among many, many things, as I said, creativity. It is symbolic and representative of divinity, sovereignty, and most importantly, love. So one of the many suggestions that I offer during this specific Lion's Gate portal is to allow yourself to awaken and perhaps remember that element of love within yourself, that self-love potential, which is so powerful and so very profound. The sign Leo also in the natural zodiac represents conception, and certainly we observe how conception really begins from a place of love. So I do inspire everyone to really allow yourself, now more than ever, to always, as much as you can, to be in that place of love, and allow yourself during this specific Lion's Gate portal to fortify, enrich that element of love, self-love within yourself. When we allow ourselves to first and foremost direct our attention towards that part of our human being, our human potential, it begins to create so many powerful and auspicious shifts. First, within ourselves. Remember, whenever we desire a change to occur in our lives, we must first create that change within ourselves. And if we experience any imbalances in our human encounters, we must correct the discord within ourselves first before we can possibly observe any experience changing in the outside world. That love element is so very important for us to recognize during these most unprecedented times. That love element fuels and fortifies that creative being of ourselves. And when we are in that place of love, as I've said, we observe so many powerful and profound changes taking place in our lives. Many times during consultations, I'm asked regarding love-related experiences, specifically that romantic love that we all desire to enjoy with another. And I always inspire everyone to recognize, in order for us to receive that experience, that desire that we so very much desire, we must first and foremost enjoy and have that experience within the being of ourselves. Once we allow ourselves to completely, as much as possible, be in that place of love, and we are vibrating that love element, we begin to observe and experience love in all that we encounter. And this is not only specific to romantic love. So during this opening of the Lion's Gate portal, I do suggest to allow yourself to fortify, enrich that self-love element within yourself. And once that takes place, observe how your own imagination begins to blossom. As I said, creativity is not specific to art and music. Creativity is the stimulation of the imagination when so many ideas start coming together for us regarding what we may pursue as a perhaps creative project in whatever form that might be for you. So certainly, once again, allow yourself during this time to recognize that creativity within yourself. Also, Leo represents sovereignty. During these powerful and profound times, we are very much being inspired to recognize the sovereignty within ourselves. The sovereignty, as I refer to, as being the master of our destiny. And this is something that I'm always suggesting to embrace from that place of love and not ego or entitlement. Being the master of our destiny suggests that we are very much in control, if you will, very much instrumental in directing the course of our lives, all that we bring to form and all that we encounter. Certainly this does not suggest that we control another or at any point attempt at inflicting our control or supremacy over another. These are opportunities for us to be very sovereign within ourselves, be that master of our destiny, and become very aware how we have the power and the being to create and bring to form all that we choose to desire to experience while we are in this human form. This subject of the Lion's Gate portal can be vast and complex, so if this is something that resonates with you, I do inspire you to explore the many understandings of this experience and embrace whatever is specific for you, whatever resonates for you during this most auspicious opportunity as we are presented every year. Also on August 2nd, we have the Earth-based holiday which is known as Lunasa. It's either August 1st or 2nd. There are many, I don't know if I want to say conflicting suggestions as to when that occurs, but many of us embrace this holiday on August 2nd. And what is auspicious regarding that event is that is what is considered the first harvest of the season. This is the time when we begin to see the fruit of our labors. All the seeds that we have planted in the springtime have sprouted, have blossomed, and we are harvesting the fruit of our labor. I also suggest throughout this time, allow yourselves really to recognize and embrace and welcome the fruit of all your labors, of all the energies that we set in motion. So many times we are always in that place of doing, doing, doing. However, once we have progressed to a place of being and not necessarily doing, that's when we allow ourselves to really enjoy a much more fulfilling human encounter. Remember, we are human beings. We're not human doings. So as we begin the August time frame, which is the mid-summer time point, August 1st, 2nd is symbolic of the midpoint of the summer season. We welcome all that we have, we welcome the harvest of all the seeds that we have sown. We embrace abundance in our lives. And again, that takes place on August 2nd. It may have been a little bit more apropos if I began with that segment, but I felt a very strong need to begin with the Lion's Gate portal. Now, a few days after the Lion's Gate portal begins to close on August 13th, on August 11th, right before the closing of the portal, we have our next full moon. Now, the full moon is in the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius is the opposite of Leo. Aquarius is the one that most represents change. Aquarius also is symbolic and representative and indicative of awakening. This is also an opportunity for every one of us to recognize how we are very much humanitarian. Now, the full moon is within a few degrees of Saturn, who is also in Aquarius. As Saturn has been transiting the sign of Aquarius, and Saturn requires about 2 years, give or take, sometimes a little bit more, maybe even sometimes a little bit less, to progress through a sign. As Saturn is moving through the sign of Aquarius, we are all being offered the opportunity to really recognize this humanitarian connection, that we have with one another. Saturn being the sign of long-term goals, business-related matters, and the sign of Aquarius is inspiring many to begin to embark upon long-term goals, perhaps business endeavors, which are very much humanitarian, very much connected with being of greater service to humanity. As we continue advancing through these most auspicious times, which I do refer as the times of Revelations and the Apocalypse, any business-related service, if you will, which does not have the intention to be in service of the be in greatest service to the all of humanity in the coming times, may not necessarily have a place in the times to come. So many are being inspired to really embark upon business-related endeavors that are very much in service to humanity. Those are the ones who really will thrive and survive in the coming times. I also suggest to allow yourself at this at this full moon on August 11th, to welcome change. Chaos will always precede great change. However, the experience, what it does is stirs up and dislodges any discordant energy which may need to be released. Those chaos experiences aren't necessarily intended to create disruption. Quite often, most often, we create that disruption ourselves when we are uncomfortable with that element of change. So I do suggest at this full moon to just allow yourself perhaps to recognize where it may be necessary in your own lives personally to allow yourself to welcome that change. Change also fortifies creativity. Change will always bring about new creative experiences because, as I said, it dislodges any discordant energy, because that discordant energy will interfere with the creative process. So Aquarius being the opposite of the sign Leo, which is creativity, so that we can enjoy profound and sometimes prolific levels of creativity, we need to allow ourselves to welcome great change. Also observe it from this perspective, that Leo element represents the heart. Aquarius, being its opposite, represents circulation. And when we allow ourselves to individually be in that place of love, as I mentioned earlier, imagine what can be circulated throughout humanity. When every one of us allows ourselves to really be in a place of peacefulness within ourselves first, then we begin to enjoy that experience of peace in the outside world. When every one of us individually transition to that place of love within ourselves, which I suggest to embrace as spiritual love, that's what we are vibrating, circulating throughout the all of humanity. And then in the outside world, we begin to enjoy an overall experience of love, oneness, and brotherhood. And that oneness and brotherhood is very much a humanitarian, Aquarius experience. We collectively may feel very much the need to break away from what is no longer serving a purpose, which no longer serves a greater purpose for the all of humanity. So I do suggest that whenever we feel the need for that change, to break away, to always encounter and demonstrate that change from a place of love and peacefulness. Because when we are being so from that perspective, then we don't inadvertently create chaos in the outside world. Now, as we move through the August time frame, we're moving very, very quickly. On August 22nd at 11:16 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, the Sun transits into the sign of Virgo. Virgo, among many things, is representative of our service to humanity. Virgo is also indicative and characteristic of overall health and wellness. So as the Sun transits the sign of Virgo, we are inspired to perhaps direct our attention to our physical form, our physical well-being. Virgo connects with all health-related matters. And just to reiterate, what I said earlier regarding becoming the master of our destiny, this also does suggest becoming very accountable for our personal health and wellness in whatever form that is specific for you individually. That's one of the many things that we embrace as the Sun transits Virgo. We are also inspired to recognize our personal individual service to humanity in whatever form that might be. Virgo, because it is ruled by Mercury, sometimes Virgo can, when the energy is not grounded, Virgo is an earth sign, and that energy always, in order for it to serve and demonstrate its greatest potential from a positive element, that energy very, very much needs to be anchored and grounded. If not, the energy becomes very over analytical to an extreme. It's what's typically referred to as being OCD. Those negative demonstrations only come to form when that element is not anchored and grounded with the energy of the earth. Also, just to backtrack a little bit, with the full moon being in a sign of Aquarius, because it can present so much change, also Aquarius represents and rules and presides over electricity. Observe how all electrical outlets, in order for that element to really be of greater service, it needs a grounding pole, so it needs to be anchored and grounded. I do strongly suggest, as I'm always suggesting, for every one of us to be mindful of the importance of remaining anchored and grounded, certainly at that time of the full moon where so much energy can be surging in the outside world. We all want to be even more mindful of remaining anchored and grounded. And I also suggest to recognize that as the Sun transits in Virgo, so to keep that energy in harmony, in balance, remaining anchored and grounded. Many times when that energy is surging, especially when the Mercury element in the chart is very much being stimulated, we certainly are inspired to being mindful of remaining anchored and grounded, because those are moments where creativity is surging. With the Virgo element, when that creativity surges, when it's not anchored and grounded, that's when it's not necessarily demonstrated in a much more positive and favorable experience. Sometimes feel imbalanced, kind of like we're all over the place energetically. So embrace these suggestions just to make the most of whenever we're experiencing, if you will, a creative surge. Now, as we approach our next new moon, we have the Balsamic Moon, which I am always emphasizing is the auspicious opportunity to energetically prepare for the next lunar cycle. The Balsamic Moon occurs on August 23rd, and that begins at 3:14 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That is the auspicious opportunity to energetically clear, cleanse, purge, and prepare. Set the foundation for the coming lunar cycle, which begins on the new moon, which takes place on August 27th, and that exact time is 4:17 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And our new moon on August 22nd is in the early stages of Virgo. It's at 4 degrees of Virgo. So perhaps embrace this opportunity to recognize whatever it may be as your service to humanity. And if you're not clear as to what that might be, perhaps use that Balsamic Moon time frame to clear away that discordant energy which may interfere with recognizing your personal and unique service to humanity. Also, if you are being inspired perhaps to begin a new health care regimen, certainly this new moon is a perfect opportunity to begin a health and overall wellness program which does encompass spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and I would even suggest fiscally as well. Just an overall balance in all those areas in our lives will fortify optimum health and well-being. And remember, there's no wrong or right to where all of this is concerned. It's what resonates with you, whatever is specific and whatever serves a purpose for your physical form. And it kind of connects with what I said earlier regarding being the master of your destiny. Perhaps if there are physical imbalances and perhaps some challenges regarding wellness, overall wellness, this time is an auspicious opportunity to really take control of those experiences and know that you are very much empowered to recognize that it was the great Louise Hay who said you can heal your life. The Virgo element represents nurses, and I've always said that the nurses really are the ones who are the healers. So perhaps if there is any discord regarding overall health and wellness on you for you on a personal level, here is the auspicious and opportunity to take control of that and recognize that you have the ability, the physical form has the potential to correct any imbalances, any discord which may be existent in the physical form. And in order for the physical form to be that potential, it must be supported properly so that it might be so. Just take notice how if you ever get a paper cut, if you just leave it alone, it heals itself. That's a perfect indication that the body has the potential to really demonstrate that element in any area of the physical form. But also remember, it needs to be supported properly in being so through nutrition, a state of mind, exercise. It is so multifaceted. It's not specific to just one thing. So I do inspire every everyone to recognize and to be the master of your destiny regarding your physical form, so that we can all enjoy this human experience without any unnecessarily health-related challenges, if you will. So, once again, I am grateful that you've allowed me this opportunity to share with you some of the many astrological and spiritual potentials of the month of August. We are advancing so very quickly through this year. I have already confirmed my travel plans for the fall time frame. I will be returning to the mystical moon in November. I believe my first day of sessions is November 14th. The mystical moon has my schedule, and those who would like to enjoy some time and discuss all of these wonderful things for you on a personal level, you can contact the centers directly and schedule time with me. Once again, I thank you for this opportunity. Remain in the light and always in a place of love. Many blessings. Namaste.